We can also make our sprites appear to rotate. We can tween the rotation of our animation, not just its position. Unfortunately, since the ball we are using is just a simple shape cast member of a plane circle, we won't be able to tell if it's rotating. There's no differentiation. Since it's round and it's plane, we won't be able to notice it rotating. Fortunately, I've created another cast member, this time a vector shape cast member with a gradient fill, which I will use to demonstrate what this rotation will look like. Let's take a look at that vector shape cast member by clicking on the cast window. And we see our vector shape cast member that I created earlier. Double click on it, and we can take a little look at it, preview it. Notice it's a little more 3D than our simple shape, so hopefully we'll be able to notice it rotate better. Notice it has a little white highlight here, so as it rotates it'll move around. Our simple shape, being this plain white, if it rotated around we wouldn't be able to tell. So that's why we have the vector shape. Now, in order to exchange the cast members, we go through this process. We first select our sprites that we're using in our animation. And that's the simple ball. And we select first the first keyframe of our animation. We go to the end, hold down the Shift key, select the last keyframe, and it selects all the sprites in between. We want to select all the sprites because we want to exchange all the sprites. We want to change all of them from that simple ball to our vector ball cast member. So we've selected all of our sprites. Now we make sure that we have our cast member selected in our cast window. We go to the Edit menu, and we choose Edit Cast Members from the not Edit Cast Member, it's Exchange Cast Members from the Edit window. Pull down the menu. We choose Exchange Cast Members from the Edit menu. Okay, sorry, I got a little tongue-tied there. So we do that. Now we click Rewind and play. And let's take a look. Now it's a vector shape instead of our simple shape that we had before. Let's stop our animation. Now, you probably noticed a little bounding box around the rectangle. So what's up with that white square around the ball? Well, all sprites except for the simple shape cast members, except for sprites that refer to simple shape cast members, all of the sprites fill up their bounding box with a background color, in this case white. To make this background invisible, we must select the sprite in the score, and I think we already have it selected, so let's take a look here. Yeah, it's selected there. Let's make sure the whole thing is selected. Good. All right, we have our whole sprite selected. And now what we need to do is change its ink effect. All right, there's an ink effect pull-down menu at the top of our score, so that when we select our sprite, we click on ink effect, and this gives us a list of things that we can do with that sprite. It changes the appearance of the sprite. All these different options change the appearance of the sprite in different ways. We're not going to cover this in great detail right now, except to say that background transparent has the effect of getting rid of the white background. And you can see in the stage that now our background is transparent, which is what we wanted. So you can experiment around with all the other options under the ink menu at your leisure. But the one that we'll use most often is background transparent. Okay, so we've changed the cast member for the ball on the stage with from the simple shape to the vector shape, and we've made its background transparent. Let's rewind, play, take a look at that. There it goes. Okay, now our whole point in exchanging these cast members was to make them rotate. Okay, So let's make our ball rotate. We do this by selecting the last frame of our animation, last keyframe. We go to the end. All right. We select the last frame. And there's a field up here called the rotation angle field at the top of our score. We want to set the rotation angle field here for this keyframe to 720. Now, when we click rewind and play, let's see what happens. Here it goes, bounces, goes up, goes back down. Now it's rotating during that last little segment. Okay, now notice it only started rotating between here and here. That's because it's going to tween between the keyframe that we had selected and the previous one. It's not going to even deal with any of this other stuff, okay? Just as if we drag this one, it's not going to affect the other positions of our sprite because it's only going to affect between the last keyframe and the keyframe that we're at. Let's undo that little move that I made. Okay, now it's back where it was. Okay, now if we want to rotate along the whole thing, then right now it's going 720. That means it's rotating twice, okay? Two 360s, 720. So it's rotating twice through here. We can make it rotate once through here, okay, by going to our previous keyframe. And let's go back. And this way. Okay, hold on. Okay. So we go to our next keyframe in the score, and we change this one to 360. Press enter. Okay. Now let's move this down out of the way. Rewind and play and see what that does. Okay. Still no rotation on this side, but when it gets here, we'll see it start to rotate. There it goes. Rotates 360 degrees there, and another 360 there. Okay. So that means that that it's basically done 720 total. Now it hasn't affected any of this other stuff because that's a whole other sprite span. That's a separate sprite span. Remember, we copied that. So we'll have to do the same thing for the other sprite span if we want it to rotate. So let's do that. We move back in our score. This is our previous sprite span. We haven't done anything to it yet. So let's select the last keyframe of that sprite span. Enter in the rotation angle at 760 degrees. Okay. And the previous one, let's enter in 320 degrees. And when we close, well, let's not close it. Let's just scroll down a little bit here. Let's press enter. That enters that. You can see the bounding box shows that it's rotated there. Now, when we rewind and play our movie, it will rotate throughout the whole animation. Let's watch. Here it goes. It's rotating. And it's still rotating. And it's rotating some more. Okay. So that's how we adjust the rotation of our sprite in the score.